All right. Well, thank you for joining us today here. We've got a great session today that I will be leading. Again, my name is Tom Dufour. I'm the CEO with Big Sky Franchise Team, and this is a continuation of our series called Navigating the Coronavirus Economy. And it's pretty incredible. This is already week, I believe, 10 here of this, which means it's been about 2.5 months, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. And so as we are going through the, going through this whole process of coming back to life after the shutdown and the pause of the economy, I thought this would be a good topic to talk about reopening. Now, these guidelines and practices and things we're going to talk through today, these are not necessarily my best practices for you. We've kind of come through and aggregated some things that we've seen through some large business associations that we're members of, and thought we'd put it together in a concise, easy to follow format for you and our other clients that are tuning into this here. So we've got some really, really good information for you. I will put up a quick little presentation here so we can click through and go through some things. I actually have a really interesting screen that I want to show you here. So let me see. So today what we're going to cover, we're going to go over, review the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, review the IFA guide, go through closing, and take some Q&A here. One of the key things that we like to talk about as we're going through this process is that there is, okay, I think I'm back. Is that there is no steadfast rule on how to do all of this, because this is new for all of us. So remember, we're trying to figure this all out together here. So one thing I'd like to point out, this is from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, from their head economist that they released. And I thought that this was really a pretty cool breakdown here of what this looks like. So if you take a look, let me share this back to you again in a bigger screen, so hopefully you can see that. But what I really like seeing here is this is their prediction for how the economy is going to grow quarterly for the rest of 2020, and then what they're projecting for 2021 on a conservative basis. So what they're showing here is that it was a 34% drop from Q4 of 2019 down to Q2 of 2020. Now, it remains to be seen what those final numbers are, but these are probably not that far off. Then, as we get into quarter three, they're expecting a big rebound, over 19% jump, and then a 7.7% jump in quarter four. So what does that mean? Well, number one, it means that assuming we're all certain that quarter two is going to be down, Q1 was down, that means we're in a recession. By the end of Q4, that should mean, or end of Q3 into Q4, we should be out of the recession and back to growing again. So a question that I've been thinking about, when do we get back to kind of business as normal here? So 2020, they're projecting a 5.1% reduction in annual GDP. Now, they've taken a number that was a pre-coronavirus number of 2.3% for a quarterly growth rate or annual growth rate for the U.S. economy. And I just think this is interesting, and a quick tale here to showcase what these projections look like to get the economy back to pre-coronavirus levels. So here's Q4 of 2019 on your far left side. Here's the drop, and here's the climb back. And so if we climb back at a 2.3% growth rate starting in 2022, by Q2 of 2022, we'll be back to pre-coronavirus levels, which really seems pretty remarkable to me that we could be looking at basically a full recovery at a slow to moderate growth rate. Now, if we were to, they published in this paper here, if we were to have a, let me see here, if we were to have a, there's this page, if it was to be faster than 2.3%, it was supposed to be at 3.3%, that would mean by fourth quarter of next year, so basically in about a year and a half, we would be back to where we were before the coronavirus, which I don't know for you, but to me, that seems like that's pretty fast, considering how far we've dropped down. Okay. Yeah, Justin? Did someone have a question there? Okay, no. Okay, great. So what I'd like to talk through here is some reopening resources here. And this is a really nice guide that we're going to talk through. So this was put together by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and this is called the Ready to Reopen Playbook. And I think this has some fantastic information in here. So it's aggregated a lot of tools and resources and put it together in a very concise manner. And by the way, I'll make sure that you will get a copy of this, links and everything. So we'll send a follow-up email with everything in here to you. But if you take a look here at their number one step is you start to look at reopening your business, or maybe you have reopened and you're just looking for more information. Number one is to gather the facts, gather information and best practices to the best we can. So it lists out the direct links to the CDC, guidelines for opening up America again, the coronavirus.gov site, the Chamber of Commerce state-by-state reopening guide. So just as an example, if we click on this, we can go down here and we can take a look at each of the different states that we might be looking to reopen in. It's going to give us a breakdown of that. So here's the map that's slowly populating here. But you can see it's going to give you a total breakdown of what this looks like. I think it's a really great tool. We'll go back to a couple of these other links that they provide for us, links back to your government website, to your specific state. You can just go ahead and click on that. OSHA requirements and other things that are provided for you. And we'll go through some specific industries as well. So step number one, gather facts and best practices. Step number two is prioritize safety. Prioritize safety, the safety for you, for your staff, for your customers. Prioritize the safety of all folks involved. And so we talk about general hygiene practices with links back to the CDC guidelines for personal protective equipment, otherwise known as PPE, which equipment is best used and for what and when, and with a direct link to the OSHA's requirements, or I'm sorry, not OSHA, the Occupational Health and Safety Administration's website here. It talks about social distancing. Consider how your current workspace can be reconfigured to encourage social distancing if telework is not available. The CDC recommends installing physical barriers, changing layouts, and to put at least 6 feet of distance between workstations, closing communal spaces, staggering shifts and breaks, and refraining from large events. At the end of the day, follow the best practice that makes sense for you and for your business and for your staff and your company's well-being. Employee health monitoring. Develop a plan for that. If you have a positive case, take a look and decide how you're going to handle it and what you're going to do. The OSHA guidelines gives you some steps. What happens if one of your employees has, or staff members has a positive case? Well, here's a guideline link right here, guidelines on preparing workplaces for the COVID-19. So here it is for the coronavirus and recommendations and best practices, so you can have these resources. And that's why I really, really like this guide. I wanted to, they've done a great job of putting this together. And we're by the way, we're active members in the U.S. Chamber. They do some great work on behalf of entrepreneurs and small businesses all over the country. So number three is make a plan. Make a plan. Make a plan. Develop your new business plan, your budget, your space, your location, supply chain, products, services. How has this impacted your revenue? We've talked through some of these things, but adjust to the new norm, to normal. That's an important component. Number 4, communicate. And this was a topic that we talked about very, very early on in this, when the whole coronavirus crisis hit. We talked about communicating. Communicate, over-communicate with your staff, with your customers, with your vendors, your suppliers. That's why we're hosting these. One of the main reasons we're hosting these Friday coronavirus webinars to talk about this, and bringing experts in and bringing resources to you so that you have this information. You should be doing this for yourself and for your businesses as well. If you're not, do it. And even if you want to just duplicate the content we're providing, do it. You can even just send a link to our website, or if you want to reskin some of the things that we've done, go for it. Send us a note. We'd be happy to help out. The idea here is to communicate, educate, provide resources. Let your team know what's going on. It's so important. Let your team know what's going on. Let your customers know what's going on. Let them know that you're alive, that you know things are happening. Talk to your franchisees. What are your franchisees doing? Communicate to your franchisees. They're nervous. They're nervous. Your franchisees are nervous. I'm certain they are. And they're probably scared. As we've been coming through this, hopefully that's been subduing some, but they're still concerned about their business. What's going to happen? What does the longevity look like? I think we've seen in the month of May that different states and markets and metros, things are starting to reopen a little bit here. The ice is starting to crack and melt a little bit. So this is a good thing for all of us in business here, as this is starting to happen. Number 5 is execute. As with any good plan, if you fail to execute, the plan is worthless. So do it. Get input from your team. The U.S. Chamber here recommends. Get input from your team. Plan out an anticipated schedule of pre-opening tasks. If you're already open or in the process of reopening, still map out your next tasks for this coming week, for the following week, and the week thereafter. Coordinate with your vendors. Give your customers a heads up. Again, communicate, communicate, communicate. I can't emphasize that enough. And number 6 here is be ready to adapt to any obstacles. So we'll just read the headlines here, but anticipate and prepare for challenges. Check in with your employees. Know what you won't get. Know that you won't get it perfect on day one. And I think that's a really important piece here. Know that this is not going to be perfect your first go at it. And I think that's something that's really important for you to know of here. Know that this is going to be something that is going to be a moving, adjusting, changing thing, and you're going to have to adjust with that. So perfection is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is effort. In this case, I really do think it kind of is an A for effort. So keep that in the back of your mind. Make an effort. Try to do something. Number 4 here is create a formal and informal process for getting feedback. So that can be, again, as formal or as informal. Listen to your employees, customers, vendors, partners. Have one-to-one conversations. Share polls on social media. Just be in front. Talk to them. Analyze your sales data. Analyze it. If you have different data reports from your from whether you're using QuickBooks or your point of sale system that helps you out, any kind of Google data for your website, anything that might help you track and understand what's going on and what's going up and down, or any of your key metrics or your KPIs that are working here. Engage the overall community response. What's going on in your community? Every community is a little bit different. As this opening up is happening, we're seeing things start to happen. The people who are more comfortable going out, they're going out. And the people who are less comfortable going out, guess what? They are not going out. So this slow process is happening, which is what this is what's supposed to happen if you go through this. So gauge your community, understand your community. And every community is going to respond in a slightly different way. And number 7, respond and pivot your strategy accordingly. Make adjustments based on feedback you're getting or the data you're receiving. communicate these evolving changes and be transparent. Not knowing is okay. Like what we share with you, we don't know. We don't know. I have all the answers. That's why we didn't try to put together this report here. This is put together by some business associations that we really value their input and how they help and support the small business entrepreneurs and franchise community. So these are just some general best practices here for you to take a look at. The next item that I'd like to take a look at here, and we're not going to go through in as much depth and detail, but this is through the International Franchise Association. And this is called the Franchise Reopening Blueprint. And I think that this is a really, really, it's just a really great document to take a look at. And I'll scan through this here. A lot of this information that's shared gives consideration to reopening all of these different programs. And there's information here on consumer recommendations, business communication, occupancy. Some of these things we've already talked through. It talks about legislative recommendations, the PPP program, the EIDL program, and so on, other things like that. It talks about liability protection and all of these other aspects, especially as it applies to franchising. So joint employer liability protection, business interruption insurance, unemployment insurance benefits, franchise fairness, all of these things for you to be thinking about as we're going through this, especially for those of you in the franchise world. And then it breaks down by industry. And I love this guide. It's so simple. So here's an overview. If you're in the automotive business, it gives the general recommended guidelines. Commercial cleaning services, and apparently there's a thunderstorm that just decided to roll through here. Holy smokes, it was just sunny about 20 minutes ago and now it's thunder and lightning. Wow, sorry about that little distraction there. So if you take a look at this commercial services, this is really, really helpful recommendation specific. If you're in the education business, I know we have a lot of clients that are in and around the education business, and even if you're not, maybe you have kids. So what should you be thinking about even as a consumer for whether it's education, automotive, commercial cleaning? What are some of these best practices you'll be looking for from your vendors and from your suppliers and from the businesses that you are a customer of? So put that hat on as well as you're looking at their business saying, hey, are they doing fill in the blank? Remember, your customers are going to be saying the same thing. Are they doing fill in the blank? Whatever that fill in the blank is. So keep that in mind as you're going through this here. Fitness. I know folks are excited to get back to work out, back to their gym and get things going. Here are best practices. Lots of bullet points here on fitness, on things to be doing as you're reopening. Hotels. What the hotels should be doing. We go through, we have residential services, restaurants, lots of restaurants in the franchise business. Something that here are best practices here. Practice general recommendations, practice social distancing, post signage at the door, use hand sanitizer as available, utilize wayfinding visuals and architectural cues, continue to offer curbside pickup. Safe routines upon arriving at work. Employees should be trained on the importance of frequent hand washing, the use of hand sanitizers and at least 60% alcohol content, and be given clear instruction to avoid touching hands and face. And for me, as I'm thinking about this, I don't know about for you, but I travel a lot. I visit our clients all over the country. And one of the things that I am looking forward to as maybe an unintended consequence of this is people are going to wash your hands. And as a traveling professional, I cannot tell you prior to coronavirus how many folks just don't wash their hands when they leave the facilities. So anyway, this is a welcome change to see. So I hope it keeps up. Safe working, creating a safe working environment. Okay, restaurants continued, lots and lots of guidance there for restaurants. Even some pictures and recommendations here. Salons, we have lots of salons in the franchise business and personal care. Again, more detailed recommendations for you. anyone in senior care or personal care of any kind. We have several clients in this space as well. Here are best practices for you. So these are all some guidelines and best practices for us to be taking a look at as we are considering reopening our business to get things going. I know I went through a lot of this very, very quickly, but at the end, I want you to know that there are some really good resources. One of the things through the Chamber of Commerce that I want to show you, let me see if I can pull this up here, is they have some guides for us here. Let me see. Let me go back. Here we go. Here are some things for you to take a look at as well. So in addition to the International Franchise Association reopening blueprint that will include, here are some additional guides for specific businesses as well, for restaurants, retailers, home services providers, construction businesses, gyms and fitness, office-based businesses, hair and nail salons, for airlines, childcare, camps and youth programs, for schools. Lots and lots of different information that's available for you there. So these are some really, really good tools. And let me pull up on here. Where is that document? Let's see if I can find it. There are small specific playbook. We just looked at this. Let me see if I can track it down. I'll make sure I link this directly. But there is an actual fill in the blank form that's available for you. There's a fill in the blank. There's a fill in the blank form for you that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has provided. That's really fantastic. And you just check some boxes and fill in some blanks that you can use to add to your whether your employee manual or just to your procedures in your office or at your location or at your facility to distribute to your team, that will just help you have some kind of a policy in place for this. So these are some really, really great resources for you to take a look at. I'll make sure that we get these out to you directly. We'll look to get these emailed out today. At the latest, we'll get it emailed Monday so that you can have that in your inbox to use as a resource. And this will be reposted as well for you. So with that, trying to keep this condensed for you to keep this moving. Are there questions from anybody that we have on the line here to help address or answer any of these questions you might have? Nader, any questions there? All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us here. I went through a lot, wanted to, touch on all of these different items quickly to help you through this. If there are any additional questions, feel free to email us. You can email me or anyone else on our team, and we'll do our best to try to facilitate any answering any questions you might have. And again, looking forward to the next steps. Thanks again. Again, this is Tom Dufour with Big Sky Franchise Team. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thank you so much now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, have a nice time.
Oh, okay, you too. And Nader, did you have any questions?
Yes, it's a great presentation. Really, I feel very enthusiastic to start activation of our business, and we look forward for the future, and we'll communicate with you in the next few days.
Okay, great. I do as well. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.